Hello and welcome to World of Tanks. I'm Tomless and I'll be your host in today's battle on the Secret Line map. Now, I'm playing the E100, one of the two tier 10 heavy tanks in the German tech tree, so of course that means I am top tier. Looking at the enemy team, they have a lot of tier 10 heavy tanks, including a dangerous platoon of T-125s that I'll definitely have to watch out for. Sadly for me, the enemy team has a Conqueror gun carriage, one of the deadliest artillery pieces in the entire game. And well, I'm in an E100, which is quite frankly a huge artillery magnet. It is big and it is slow. I mean, if you have enough skill to tell the difference between a mouse and a LOL tractor, then I'm sure you'll have no trouble at all hitting the E100. Now, personally I don't like getting wrecked by artillery, so, along with the vertical stabilizer and the gun rammer, I fitted my E100 with a super heavy spore liner. Combine that with the massive amounts of space armor on the sides of the E100, and suddenly those high explosive shells don't seem all that scary anymore. That being said, I still want to get into artillery cover, and that's part of the reason why I'm heading for the town. The other part of course being that I am in an E100 which excels at head-on engagement, where you can angle your armor, hide your weak spots and avoid being surrounded. Initially I'm heading for the corner up ahead where I can side scrape. That way I can keep my lower plate hidden, which is only 150mm thick and not quite as well sloped as the upper plate. Furthermore, in tanks with more or less flat turret faces, such as the E100 or even the Mouse, you definitely need to angle the turret, because otherwise, at tier 10, you'll find lots of tank destroyers that have no trouble going through it, and even medium tanks and heavy tanks can load their premium rounds and go straight through it as well. Don't try that in the Tiger II, however, because its turret size are far too weak. Now I'm trying to bait their shots out so that I can shoot them without taking damage. Alright, let's just try again, shall we? I mean, it can't possibly get any worse than that, right? Right? Yeah, cool. Once again, I'm in the E100, but this time the map is Halluf, and each team only has 4 tier 10 vehicles. The enemy team completely lacks tier 10 heavy tanks, but they do have a lot of dangerous tank destroyers. At tier 10 they have the Khmelevsky, a very flexible tank destroyer with a semi-reversible turret, 8 degrees of gun depression, a top speed of 60 km per hour, and the most accurate gun in the entire game. On the flip side, however, it doesn't really have any armor, 35mm at the most, so it really is a glass cannon, but with careful positioning it is definitely a force to be reckoned with. At tier 9 they have the Waffenträger auf Panzerkampfwagen 4, thanks Germany, great name. It too is a glass cannon, but while it doesn't have the amazing mobility of the Khmelevsky, it does have a fully reversible turret and a much better camo rating. Of course, let's not forget the infamous ISU-152, which, despite being tier 8 in tier 10 game, actually has the highest penetration on the standard rounds out of any tank in this match, and it still does 750 damage. On the other hand though, it does have a terrible traverse speed, and unless you hit the gun mandate, it's an easy penetration. So, Tomlist, why did you get the E100, one of the most common tier 10 vehicles in the game? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. Speed. No, really, I'm serious. I looked at tanks suitable for Heavy Tank 15, Heavy Tank 12, those kind of personal missions where you have to block a lot of damage with your armor, and the choice really boiled down to 3 options, either the E100, the Mouse, or the Type 5 Heavy. And out of the 3, the E100 is the fastest. So why is that important, you may ask? Well, having increased mobility gives you more freedom and flexibility. For instance, you can get to aggressive locations earlier, you can defend the base quicker, or you can even outflank your opponents sometimes. All in all, it allows you to swing the battle in favor of your team more often, thereby winning more battles, and, well, personally, I like winning more than I like losing. Another defining feature of the E100 is its gun, which is the biggest gun mounted to a heavy tank, excluding the howitzers. Sorry, KV2. As that poor S3 just found out, my gun does 750 damage, which, combined with the good armor and the high health total, makes it a fantastic tank at trading shots. As an example, let's take a look at me against that IS-3. All I need to do is control the engagement. In this case, that means angling my turret, because he can't penetrate me when my turret is angled correctly. But say I was facing up against the T-125, then of course I would retreat into cover between shots. Now, while reloading, keep my turret angle of course. When I'm done reloading, I pop my turret towards him, we trade shots, 1 for 1, and the process repeats itself. Now, assuming we trade 2 for 2 and penetrate all of our shots, he would then do 780 damage to me, whereas I would do 1500 to him, leaving him dead, whereas I would still have around 2000 hit points left. That's a pretty good deal. So while I was talking about efficient trading, I've actually already killed the poor guy, so I guess next in line is a Grill 15. I'm not entirely sure what he's trying to achieve there. I mean, for a tank that fragile, that is a very aggressive position, and he's already taken quite a lot of damage. The idea behind my position is that the terrain will hide part of my lower plate. From the perspective of the IS-3, some of my lower plate was actually hidden. However, what I didn't realize was that the Grill 15's slightly different angle gave him a clean shot of my lower plate. Of course, the only reason this position isn't complete suicide is because the enemy team doesn't have any artillery. In the event that the enemy team does have artillery, and let's face it, it happens, I would much rather be sitting where that T-34 is sitting, which is much closer to that rock on the left, which does provide some sort of artillery cover. Another artillery safe position is up ahead near the corner where the Grill 15 is, although getting there is kind of risky as you might end up getting shot in the flank by all the tanks on your left. That Object 140 over there is also in artillery cover, although that doesn't mean I can't hit him. He even shows me his underbelly, and so I'll more than happily take that shot. And even set him on fire, because one of the main weaknesses of the Object 140 is that it has fuel tanks in the front of the hull. The scores are even right now, but if you have a look at the minimap, you'll see that we have taken control of a decent portion of this flank, so it's important we don't sit back and let the enemies retake it. Now, I would like to take out that Grill 15, as that would allow us to push quite aggressively, but for that to happen, this T-34 needs to go first. There's no way I'll penetrate the front of his turret, but if one of my teammates can distract him, I might get a good shot into his side. Whoa, Tomlist, hang on a second. Are you implying that teamwork exists in World of Tanks? Well, yeah, kind of. Although, to be fair, it wasn't really on purpose, but still, it happened. With the T-34 taken care of, I still need to watch out for that M103, who didn't actually damage my gun, he broke my tracks instead, but the replay doesn't know that. Now, I turn my attention to the Grill 15 to try and finish him off, so we can move on, and of course always keep an eye on the minimap, because I do see an enemy light tank down there. I'm just trying to make sure he doesn't outflank me. I think it looks pretty good. Now, I need to help my buddy in the T-125. He's on low health and I'm not, so I push around the corner and shoot the T-10, so that's a guy kill in one shot. At first I wanted to pull back to reload in cover, but since the IS-3 is pushing so aggressively, I am indeed going to push around the corner with him. Here I get pretty lucky, as I do take a shot from the second Grill 15 on the enemy team, but it only blows my tracks off. Judging by the directional indicator, I am pretty sure the Grill 15 shot me from somewhere around here. As you can see, he has a clear shot at my entire lower plate, and it would be much better for me to follow the path of that T-125 next to me. Now that the M103 is dead, let's move on to the Waffenträger. You can tell that he's using the 15cm gun because of the slightly shorter barrel without a muzzle brake, gun shield is swept back, and of course the fact that he did nearly 700 damage to the poor guy in the IS-3. Also, it appears I knocked his engine out with that shot. Anyway, at this point I'm a little bit worried that the Object 140 and the VK-452B might try to outflank me through the valley. However, since the Object 140 is dead and the VK is going nowhere fast, I feel fairly safe just securing the kill on that Waffenträger instead. Turns out that was a big mistake, because while the Waffenträger might have fired his shot, the same can't be said for the Grill 15 and the ISU-152 at the back. A lot of the time, the most dangerous enemies are not the ones you can see, they're the ones you can't see. Around here is where the ISU-152 was last spotted, and if I'd been paying a bit more attention, I would have realized that he had a pretty good shot at the side of my tank as I came around that corner.
Having made that mistake, I'm now down to about 600 hit points, so it'll only take one shot from one of the tank destroyers to take me out. Therefore, I'm being extra cautious as I hide my lower plate, keep my turret angled and even drive slightly up the slope ahead of me to increase the sloping on the front of my turret. While angling the turret, it can be useful to hold down the right mouse button to lock the turret, thereby allowing you to look around and get a better overview of the situation. My allies are now closing in on the last few enemies, destroying the IH-152 and giving the Grill 15 something else to worry about, meaning I can somewhat safely move up on this VK-4502B. Now, here you see me switching away from the armor piercing that has served me surprisingly well the entire game and on to the high explosives. That's because the Grill 15 had a lot more health than one shot of armor piercing is likely to do, and considering its poor armor, high explosive is likely to do full damage. The Lorraine put a few shots into him, so now my shell doesn't even have to penetrate to destroy him. It looks like the Grill 15 is trying to outflank us, so I turn around to face him, and even though I'm a little bit slow on the trigger, it's still fast enough. So here we have the post-battle results. First of all, the Ace Tanker badge for the overall great performance. I also received 5 different ribbons, most notably Fighter Award for 4 or 5 kills, in my case 5, kind of like a miniature Top Gun. And the Fire for Effect, for dealing more damage to enemies than I have hit points. That's really a good target to set yourself for every battle, because if you succeed, then that means you kind of carried your own weight. Of course, for me to get it in this particular battle was no real surprise, considering I also received the High Caliber Award for dealing the most damage out of everybody in the battle. 7,839 damage to be exact, and that yielded 1,244 experience, which is actually quite a lot considering most of the vehicles I was shooting at were lower tier than me. In total I fired 14 shots, of which one of them missed and one bounced on the IS-3. And that's not too bad considering I didn't fire any of the high explosive anti-tank rounds, despite the E-100 having the worst penetration on the standard armor piercing rounds out of all the tier 10 heavy tanks. Well, joint worst if you include the VK-7201K, but that's a Clan Wars reward tank. I took 10 hits in this battle and only 3 of them penetrated, meaning I blocked about 4,000 damage with my armor. Of course, had I taken just one more hit and survived, I would have also received the steel wall, but oh well, can't have everything I guess. At the time of this battle I was running a premium account, and because I didn't fire any of those premium rounds, I earned a pretty good profit of over 60,000 credits. And even without the premium account I would still have earned nearly 30,000 credits. This was also during some triple experience weekend, meaning I earned 5,598 experience for my first win of the day.